The Business and Governance Committee meeting to order. Cynthia, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we have a quorum.
All right. So let me start off by first introducing Paul Kaufman. Paul, welcome. Paul is not new to SDCERS. As a matter of fact, apparently he's been the backbone of everything audit in the system. Apparently he's the reason that Ted is successful at his job at all, and so I think this is fantastic. As a result, Greg got him to come on board onto the committee where he probably rightfully belongs. And so I hope you do enjoy the new benefits package and salary increase.
Thank you.
But in all seriousness, Paul, you've been serving on the audit committee since 2017?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, and tomorrow will be your first board meeting, so, all right. Almus is not here, and I mention that only because there's nobody between me and Bobby now, so I'm sorry. I apologize about that. So, all right. Any non-agenda public comments?
No public comment.
Fantastic. All right, let's get to the action items, which I guess we're going to start with adopting the calendar for 2020 board committee meeting schedule, which, as you know, is a hot topic, critically crucial and critical to the system. Oh, by the way, Paul, I should probably mention, since you're new to the committee, we make one very important assumption here, that you can read. So I assume you've read the material. I'm assuming you can read the material.
Yeah.
And so we try to limit the staff reports to things that may be different or changed or something that really needs highlighting.
Do you pay for eyeglasses too?
All right. So are we going to bring that up for I assume there's no questions. We do have to take action on it. There we go. There's my screen.
Charlie.
There's the, yep, you got it up there. Got it. Okay. So I need a motion to approve the 2020 board committee calendar. Thank you.
Ready to vote?
All right, all votes are in. The matter passes 5-0. Okay. Another super amazing hot topic item, the review of amendments to the process on the board member elections. I tried to find the red on the red line version. I think there was a couple of, kidding, there was very few changes. All right, can I get a motion to approve the, all right, it's been moved and seconded.
Ready to vote?
And that passes 5-0. Thank you. Okay, information items. Johnny, you want to talk to us about selecting fiduciary counsel?
Quickly, so your contract for fiduciary counsel expires this year, and the staff is looking for some guidance on the process of how to bring forth viable candidates for the outside counsel.
So this one, for the committee, this one is a bit important because fiduciary counsel is actually our lawyer. So the question here is, we normally deal with an RFP, and staff can certainly help us build the RFP. So in my mind, I think there's two issues. Number one, do we want to review the RFP? And I think we do before it is sent out, because we're selecting our counsel. And then number two, do we want to interview all of the candidates or screen them and then interview them? Or do we want staff to screen them and then do we want to interview them? And then the third issue is, do we want to do that in a ad hoc committee, or do we want to do that on the board level? And I think what I think we're doing is, I think we're making a recommendation to the board, who will then vote on that issue. So I think this is one of the few topics that deserves some serious discussion, and I'd like to get some ideas on what anybody has on that issue. I'll start on one end and make you guys all talk if you make me.
Yeah. How does this position relate to what Johnny provides to the SDCERS organization?
So we're not sure what Johnny does, quite frankly. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. Johnny, go ahead. Do you want to answer that question?
Thank you.
Sorry.
So as Thanasi stated, fiduciary counsel is the board's counsel. I am too, but I'm also the system, and I help work with staff. The general counsel reports through Greg as the CEO. Your fiduciary counsel reports directly to you.
Okay.
The fiduciary counsel generally opines on fiduciary matters, which also involve conflicts of interest, which relate to your fiduciary duties, governance, some other things, but they don't do the day-to-day operations. And it's an outside counsel, so in many ways we use it as a secondary opinion and a real experienced one.
Okay.
They also provide training on our fiduciary duty, and I think they deal with some government code sections as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay, so.
You'll meet your current fiduciary counsel tomorrow.
Okay.
So.
Excellent. Thanks.
Is there a requirement to send out an RFP?
It says in your board policy that the board may issue an RFP, so I take that as if you want to. It historically has been done that way.
And what is your thought? Would you like to, or would you like to remain with the same firm?
I like current fiduciary counsel. We worked with them quite a bit since 2014, and I worked with prior fiduciary counsel as well. But I do think it's good to go to the market for cost reasons, to give other trustees a voice in it, and to see what else is out there.
When was the last time we went to market, as you say?
2014.
The,
Prior to that was a different fiduciary counsel.
so the other reason that I think it makes sense to go out and test the market is that different providers come in and out of the market from different times. So in this case, Greg is essentially, he's not a one-man firm, but he's kind of siloed in his firm and what he does. Prior to that, I believe we had a much larger firm that was fiduciary counsel out of San Francisco. So it's not just a cost issue. I mean, that's obviously a part of it, but it's also who's out there, what's there. From my perspective, I don't have a problem with Greg at all. I think he did a fine job. I don't have an issue with it. But I think it would be imprudent not to go out and look at who else is providing services, what they offer, what the cost structure is, those types of issues.
Yeah.
So also, Greg is not 20. I'm not saying he's retirement age, but one of the things that
We're talking about Chris Waddell.
I'm saying Greg, Chris. I apologize. If you can get me confused with Almas, I can confuse you with Greg, with Chris. So, anyway, so in terms of Chris, I think the other question is I don't even know if we've asked him. Does he plan on providing services for the next 5 years? Which would
believe he
be
does.
what's that?
I believe he does.
Okay, and I assume he would have probably told us that, but we should probably at least ask the question. And certainly with the RFP, we would have that answer because if he's responding to the RFP, then that's his issue. The other side of it is it's also an opportunity for us to look at malpractice insurance that's in place and those kinds of things which lawyers are not required to maintain, although they're supposed to disclose certain aspects of that. So I don't know if that helps.
Do you anticipate any major events occurring in the next 5 years that our current council isn't particularly?
My retirement from the board.
There is that.
I think the only major thing we've got is possibly Prop B, right? Impacts on Prop B?
Right, but I mean, just even from day to day, I mean, they really do focus on our training and focus on the issues that come up. And
Okay.
Issues do come up. They may not. It's hard to predict them, but they do come up.
Okay.
So, if there's no specific suggestions, to me, I think that we definitely want to review the RFP and then give staff the go-ahead to put it out there. And then I think we do want to screen the candidates and then ultimately interview the finalists. The question is, do you want to do that through an ad hoc committee or do you want to do that through the board as a whole? My preference would be to do it through an ad hoc committee. And that would allow a committee to turn around and review the applications, select the finalists, and go forward with that. Why do I say that? Because it's our lawyer. If staff is screening the candidates, it takes us out of that process as opposed to being in the process. And then, of course, we need to interview the finalists. And to be honest, I think that would be a cumbersome thing to do at the full board level.
Sure. Yep.
So if there's no other suggestion, and I'm not, my position is not right on this, it's just my suggestion is that we recommend that staff draft the RFP, appoint an ad hoc committee to review the RFP and approve it,
Yeah.
and then have that same ad hoc committee review the candidates, select the finalists, and interview the finalists, and make the recommendation to the board.
I agree with you.
I would support that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tanasi. I don't think we need a vote at this point. The board policies say that the president creates the ad hoc committee. So tomorrow I'd ask that when this agenda item come up, that you ask Ms. Broad to create an ad hoc committee.
Which I think is fine, although from my perspective, it seems that that we've made a recommendation to the board, so that recommendation should go to the board. The president can do what she wants to do, and the board can vote on that. But I think there should be, the minute should reflect,
Yep,
we've made a recommendation to the board, and that should come up tomorrow's meeting.
Yeah.
agreed.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We're threatening my my longest meeting time here, so let's so Cynthia, Ted, pay attention. She's going to give a report. Come on up, Cynthia.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. We continually work to improve our services to members. of course. It is our passion. And with core tasks in place, we have had an opportunity to now look toward our wish list, which we'd been planning for in advance, but finally have a chance to bring some things to fruition. I mentioned in my report that we were working on a series of videos, with which the first educational video being titled SDCERS 101. I'm pleased to report that this project was done in advance of our self-imposed deadline, and it's come together very well. I would like to give a great thanks to our communications manager, Jessica Maloney, who wrote an excellent and concise script and envisioned wonderful graphics and images to be able to relay some complicated, confusing information in a very simple format. This video has been premiered this week. It is available on our website and was shown at the first pre-retirement seminar yesterday for the first time, and we received good feedback, and we were very pleased. It is a way for people to get the big picture in 5 minutes and then be able to move on to their other questions. So we're very pleased about this item. And we will be working on several other videos. Those will be coming up, and we're hoping to share those with you. Additionally, as part of our outreach, the staff has been doing a great job with a nonstop roadshow going on. We've had already 2 presentations thus far this week, and a number of others are slated. When we offer our retirement seminars, they're filled up within the first hour, and our challenge is truly just to secure meeting space, which the staff will be working, has an appointment right after this to look at that. But I would like to give appreciation to the folks who have worked so hard this week and have been very brave to continue practicing their public speaking skills. And I would like to point out in the back we have Victoria Fedelizo, Andrea Valdez, and then I would also like to thank the staff who is upstairs answering the phones, Sarema Valenzuela, Raven Pacheco, and Selene Rodriguez. They have had an opportunity to come outside the box and challenge themselves with going to public events and being able to answer the questions and doing a great job. It makes the whole staff better trained to be able to work with our members, and that is always our goal. So thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Cynthia, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Marcel? You're going to talk to us about benefits administration and the phenomenal work you're doing getting information over to Chiron on time and getting checks paid out timely. This is awesome. So
I do want to focus a little bit on getting the checks out timely, and a shout out to Fong Win and his team. That was one of our goals that we set, that we wanted our members to get their first payment within 30 days of getting their last paycheck from their plan sponsor. Before we went to IRIS, we were telling members 6 to 8 weeks, and it was more towards the 8 weeks, so they were having to plan for quite some time between their final paycheck and their first retirement check. So for last fiscal year, we had 359 members who service retired or drop retired after separating service, and 96% of them got their first check within 30 days. The average is actually 15 days, and there are a large number of them that are getting it 10 days later. So they're retiring, they're getting their final paycheck 2 weeks after they retire, and then 10 days after that, they're getting their first retirement check. So very proud of the staff for getting those numbers down and getting that out the door.
And for those committee members that haven't been around for a while, this is huge.
Yeah.
This is, we used to take quite some time to get the checks out, and they were complaining, the members were complaining then, they're probably going to still complain now at 15 days. But the point, though, is that we've moved mountains to get to that point, so I think you guys have done a great job. Thank
Very
you.
nice job, Marcel.
All right. David Bond. Thank you for having the lights turned off today, David. I appreciate that.
We'll have that fixed by
Don't rush.
November. I did want to highlight one item in the IT status report. SDCERS hired Kuma to perform an IT risk analysis in 2017. Kuma identified 22 risk items and provided 35 recommendations to remediate the risks, 9 of which were IT specific. As of May 2019, there were 2 left, and they were both dependent upon the implementation of the OnBase system, which you're now using. With the implementation of OnBase, we were able to replace SIRE, which was one of the recommendations, and update the server and desktop operating system environment. And with those 2 items, we have completed our remediations of all of the Kuma recommendations.
Excellent.
So it's a big achievement.
Very good, yeah.
And we're on to the next audit. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
David, I noticed that the help desk report, desktops and access rights are the biggest problem. So if we just take away everybody's desktops and deny them access, we should be able to solve like half the problems from IT, correct?
We could reduce staff significantly if we
Awesome. Thank you very much, David. Does anybody have any questions for David?
No.
All right. Thank you,
Nice job, David. Thank you.
All right. Johnny, thankfully, Greg, this is one of the few reports that Greg didn't highlight. I'm assuming that you have nothing else to add, but I want to give you the opportunity if something has changed or you want to add something. No? Does anybody on the committee have any questions of Johnny? Hearing none? All right, let's go to Ted on the financial division report. By the way, I'd like to point out that Ted, for the 6th year in a row, we've received the GFOA award, which Ted pronounces in a funny, squirrely kind of way. And apparently there was just one minor comment that we had again because Ted didn't fix that from last year. But other than that, we've won that award 6 years in a row. And Ted's probably going to tell us how amazing that is. But the reality is we're kind of expecting that now. So Ted, go ahead.
Now that you've stolen my thunder, but just to let you know that you asked me to listen to Cynthia Queen's report. You may remember that she mentioned Victoria Fedelizo, which she actually promoted from the finance division.
Thank you so much,
Yes. So I'm trying to figure out, does that mean the good people leave your department or the good people end up in her department? I'm just trying to figure out how that works exactly.
I'll leave that right there. I'm here to report out a matter that is not within my finance staff report that I think is important to present to the B&G. Finance has responded to a California EDD penalty notice related to taxes filed in conjunction with our pension payroll. This is related to two specific errors, the first of which dealt with the filing of our Q1 taxes. And it should be noted that these taxes were filed timely, but what happens is that you have to file these taxes electronically with the state. And for whatever reason, there were two links for filing the EDD taxes, Q1 and Q2, and they were right next to each other. And once you click on that link, you really don't have an easy way of knowing which quarter you're working in until you actually print the confirmation pages. So what happened with respect to the Q1 taxes, which were filed timely, was that the Q2 link was actually accidentally pressed. Once we had received a notice from the EDD asking us where our Q1 taxes were, we actually went back to the confirmation reports and in very tiny print identified the fact that it was filed in Q2, which then leads to the second error. This error for finance relates to the filing of our Q2 taxes. And with the Q2 taxes, we were coming up against a deadline. I had already responded to the first EDD letter, but they had not yet processed the results of what we asked them to do. Consequently, the EDD was consulted as to what we should do to make sure that we could file our Q2 taxes promptly. We filed the Q2 taxes as amended and at the same time filed the Q1 in the proper quarter. It was that filing of the Q1 in the proper quarter that generated the notice because it's as if you had filed it 3 months late. At that point in time, I immediately contacted the EDD, generated a new letter that was sent to the EDD, and now we are currently waiting for them to respond to the request to abate all penalties and interest. As it currently stands, the information within their system is accurate for both Q1 and Q2. With that, I'll make this available for any questions.
So I want to make just a couple of quick comments. I want to make it really clear for the minutes that the taxes were timely paid, and I think it's really critical. There was no tax payment missed. I think you made the sense the taxes were filed on time. They actually were paid on time, and so that there shouldn't be any interest once this gets resolved because there was no deficiency for there to be interest on. So we're really only talking about the penalties for quote unquote failing to file timely, which in fact we did file just under the wrong link. So these are administrative errors that in this case I think happened as a result of probably a glitch in their system in how they identified these things, although whatever, but if the EDD done its job properly, if they were as competent as David Bond over there, we wouldn't have had this problem. And so that's, I think, the big issue. But I just want to make it really clear for the minutes and for the public, this was not a failure to pay the taxes. This was just an error, and that they're working on that. And the error realistically here, what are we talking about in total penalties? It's just a few $100s, as I understand it.
No, right now, the non-payment penalty is related to about $122,000, so.
No, I understand, but that's based on their
filing
assumption that they
penalty,
haven't been
excuse me.
paid, but they have been paid.
Absolutely.
Right, okay. So, all right. I just want to make sure that's good. Does anybody have any questions on that? So, David, thank you very much. I know I give you a bad time because it's what I do, but you're doing a great job, and I'm sorry, Ted. David does a good job too, by the way. He really does, fantastic. Ted, you do a great job. I think you're handling this well, and it's kind of frustrating, I know, but I'm sure we're going to get through that without a problem.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Ted, while you're here, do you have any other comments to make on item number 6, the unaudited June 30th financial statement? That's not an invitation to say something if you don't have anything to say, but feel free.
Not at this time, unless you have any questions for me.
Does anybody on the committee have any questions? All right, thank you, Ted. All right, and Johnny, on the annual report of fees in excess of $50,000, do you have anything to add to your report? Okay. Any questions for Johnny on the annual report of fees? Seeing none, okay. On the semi-annual travel and training report, anything to add? Any questions from the committee? Okay. Annual report on overpayments, Marcel, do you have anything you want to add on that? Fantastic. Any questions from the committee? All right. And then just to delay things further, Greg would like to make some comments on the landlord's request to move SDCERS to the 7th floor. Greg, fire away.
Thank you. As you know, we are a tenant in this building, and we rent the operations space that we have here on the 3rd and the 4th floors. And we were approached by the landlord asking us if we would be interested in relocating within the building, which is kind of provocative to me because I think we could use some new paint and some new carpet, so moving floors would be advantageous in some ways. We took over this space in 2007, renegotiated a lease in 2013, so we're getting towards the end of our current lease period. So it's something we need as an organization to be thinking about. So what we would like to do is to do an RFP for a broker and bring that back to this committee in November for selection of a broker and really at this point evaluate the building's proposal and also look at what other alternatives are available to us out in the marketplace. So it's a very interesting time with regards to vacancies in this building and other buildings, also looking what will the future bring with regards to the economy. You know, is this a good time to renew, yes or no? So there's going to be a lot to think about, but I think step one is to get some professional help. I am not a lease expert. I don't believe there's anybody on my team that's a lease expert, so I think we need some professional help, and we'll do a search and bring this back to the committee for further consideration.
Anybody have any questions?
I would support that.
Okay. All right, so let's see. Our next issue is, do we have any, there's no closed session? Okay, and with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Paul, would you like to do the honors?
I will do the honors to propose adjournment.
All right, thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.